Welcome back to Hope's Homemade Kitchen. If you've ever cooked meat on a smoker, you know that there's not much better than that delicious, smoky flavor with the bark and the rim around it from the smoke. It's delicious. Today I'm cranking up my Traeger and just getting it started. It's the first time I've used it this year and I'm really excited to get out there. Today we're cooking what's known as poor man's burnt ends. It's kind of a misnomer because what the meat that we use is chuck roast. Chuck roast is not cheap, so poor man's might be the wrong name. Anyway, we're going to use chuck roast. We've cut it up into cubes and marinated it, and I'll show you how I'm going to lay it out on a wire rack, and we're going to smoke it for a few hours, and then we're going to take it, wrap it up, add some butter and some good flavorings, and put it back on there to continue to cook for a couple of hours to really tenderize that meat. Let's get started. Here are the ingredients for the poor man's burnt ends. Chuck roast that's been cut into chunks. I just bought it like that as stew meat from Costco. Olive oil, Worcestershire sauce, apple cider vinegar, soy sauce, black pepper, garlic, onion powder, red pepper flakes, and brown sugar. Okay, here's a revised list of all the ingredients. As I was mixing this up to marinate, I thought it'd be really good to add in a little bit of barbecue sauce and finish up some rye that we had left in a bottle. It ended up being about 1/4 cup of rye in there. So here's the ingredient list, and I mixed them up to marinate, and I'll put all of the measurements in the description box below. First time cranking up the Traeger this year. Starting it up. I'm glad I did a nice good cleaning last year. Got it set on smoke. I'll let that go for a bit. And today we're going to do some poor man's burnt ends. Okay, I have about a 4 to 5 pound chuck roast that I bought like this already, that was already cut up into stew meat. So that's the way Costco sells stew meat. It is chuck roast cut up into pretty good sized chunks. So I just bought that. I didn't actually cut it up myself. So first thing I'm going to do, because I'm going to put this on the grill and I don't want it to cook and stick, I'm going to spray it with a light coating of cooking spray. And that just helps it release. Let's see how many of these I can get onto one wire rack. So I've linked the recipe. Actually, I wrote out the recipe in the description box below, so you'll be able to see what I used for the marinade. You can vary the marinade to your liking, actually. If I put soy sauce, brown sugar, a little bit of, actually a little bit of rye whiskey in there, because we had a little bit left in the bottom of a bottle, and sometimes people use bourbon or whiskey to use in the marinade, and it'll cook right off and just leave the flavor. So we'll see how that turns out. I also put a little bit of barbecue sauce in there and seasonings, some hot pepper flakes. If you don't want it as spicy, you leave those out. Now some people just roast the whole chuck roast, actually smoke the whole chuck roast and then cut it up into cubes. I've seen it done both ways. Today we're doing it like this. Already done, already cut up for us. I'm going to leave a little bit of space in between so that smoke rises up all around. Now, chuck roast is traditionally not a super tender cut of meat, but the slow cook time on the smoker like that and the heat will help tenderize it as well. This is not a fast cook cut of meat by any means. Now, some of these are a lot smaller pieces, so they might end up cooking quicker. I'll take those off sooner. But they are called burnt ends, so they will get pretty crispy. If you have a smoker or multiple smokers, I know I've seen some of you out there with a lot of different kinds of smokers. What's your favorite cut of meat to smoke on your smoker? Let me know in the comments below, because I might just give it a try. Okay, that ended up being perfect for two sheets. Now we'll go put it on the smoker. Okay, we've set the smoker at 225 degrees. It's going to go in like that for a couple of hours, and we'll check on it later. Okay, let's check on the burnt ends. They've been going about a little over an hour now. I have some apple juice in a spray bottle. I'm just going to spray a little bit over the top. They have an hour or so to go. It's been almost 2 hours. Give it a temp check. Not quite there. Should be 165 to 175 degrees when I take it off and wrap it. So I'm going to give it another douse of apple juice. The edge there is extra crispy. Yeah, that one's burnt. We'll just leave that. All right, we'll let it go for a little longer. Okay, it's been on for about 2.5 hours now, and these are looking pretty good and ready, I believe, to take up. We're going to put them in a metal pan, and then we'll put some butter and sauce on them, put them back on the smoker, covered, and they'll continue to cook and tenderize. We'll be back later. Okay, this is what it looks like after it's come off the smoker, and now I'm going to put butter and honey on it. And then I'm going to put it back on the smoker covered and let it continue to cook. As you can see, there were some around the edges that got pretty crispy, and the ones in the middle will be great when they have additional cooking time. Okay, I've added some additional seasoning and some butter, some honey, a little apple juice in there. I'm going to cover it and put it back on the smoker until it reaches an internal temperature of 205 degrees. Okay, I wanted to show you the final result of the poor man's burnt ends. So I kept them on the smoker for a couple of hours and then put them into this pan with butter and juices such as, what did I put in there? Butter, some apple juice, and look at the smoke ring on that. That's beautiful. Not all the pieces are super tender. It probably could have cooked a little longer, but that's it. Now I'm going to put some barbecue sauce on, and you can choose to have it however many ways. You could have it on a sandwich with mac and cheese, a number of ways. Just have it with your barbecue. All right, thanks for joining me, guys, on Hope's Homemade Kitchen.